Hi class! So if you guys recall from yesterday, we discussed how to convert fractions to a decimal. So today we're going to reinforce that lesson by watching a video made by Number Rocks. So it's kind of like a music video to help you guys remember the steps for converting fractions to a decimal. And before I start playing the video, I'm going to pass out a graphic organizer. It looks like this. So you can put your name and date at the top. And within the graphic organizer, it asks you to first describe the steps taken. And then it asks for an example. So throughout the video, you're going to see that they're going to show you step by step how to convert fractions to a decimal. So I'm going to want you to describe the step and then display the example, followed by the next step, which continues that same example. So at the end, at the bottom, on the last row, you should have your final answer of how to convert the particular fraction to a decimal. So let's play the video.
I asked my friend, which way is optimal to convert a fraction to a decimal? I gotta know now, I can't wait till later. He said,
divide the numerator by the denominator.
So I asked, huh? Well, how can that be done? As far as I know, 2 doesn't go into 1. He said,
Listen, here's what you need to know. Just write a decimal point followed by a 0. And you know 2 goes into 10 5 times. Then the decimal point rises above the line.
The numerator becomes a dividend, and write a decimal point and a 0 in the tens. Divide and write the decimal point in the quotient, so 1/2 and 5/10 are equivalent.
later on, I was hanging with my stuffed animal, showing him how to convert a fraction to a decimal. I divided the numerator by the denominator as he sat there real quiet like a spectator. I bet he was thinking, 5 can't go into 2. But luckily for him, I knew just what to do. I said, listen, here's how it's got to go. Just write a decimal point, followed by a 0. Then 5 goes into 24 times, and the decimal point jumps up on the line.
The numerator becomes a dividend, and write a decimal point and a 0 in the tens. Divide and write the decimal point in the quotient, so 2/5 and 4/10 are equivalent. The numerator becomes a dividend, and write a decimal point and a 0 in the tens. Divide and write the decimal point in the quotient, so 1/2 and 5/10 are equivalent.
I had to get my homework done before the school dance. I had to convert a fraction, couldn't leave it to chance. I divided the numerator by the denominator, but to my surprise there was a remainder. I texted my friend, I don't wanna be late. Can you tell me how to divide 1 by 8? She said,
write 2 more zeros to the right of the dividend. The value will be unchanged, it's equivalent.
I divided the 2 numbers and got 0.125. We arrived just in time to see Number Rock live!
The numerator becomes a dividend, and write a decimal point and a 0 in the tens. Divide and write the decimal point in the quotient, so 2/5 and 4/10 are equivalent. The numerator becomes a dividend, and write a decimal point and a 0 in the tens. Divide and write the decimal point in the quotient, so 1/2 and 5/10 are equivalent.
Okay, so I hope this video was a fun way to have you guys recall how to convert fractions to a decimal. So now let's have a class discussion on the description of steps you guys took. Okay, so now that we went over the steps you guys should take when converting fractions to a decimal, I'm going to want you guys to put this graphic organizer to the side because we're going to take a look at a word problem together. So you guys can either work in groups of 2 or individually, but I prefer you guys work in groups of 2 to try and answer this word problem. So I'm going to read it out loud. The word problem says, you and 2 friends are playing basketball. You make 7 out of 15 shots. Your first friend makes 6 out of 10 shots. And your second friend makes 5 out of 12 shots. Who is the better shooter? So this question isn't that simple to answer. We're going to have to apply the concept we addressed yesterday and today, which is related to converting fractions to decimals. And remember, you guys can use the steps you guys wrote from watching the video to help guide you guys in solving this problem. But I'm also going to pass around another graphic organizer. And in this graphic organizer, it asks, what do I need to find? So you're going to get all of this information from the word problem. So what do I need to find? What information do I need to use? How will I use the information? And then all of this information that you gather from the word problem, you're going to apply it to solving the word problem. So take a few minutes to do that. Okay, great. So now that we have gone over this word problem together as a class, I'm going to want you guys to now take out a blank piece of paper and take a few minutes to come up with your own word problem. So we're no longer going to answer a word problem. We're going to create our own word problem related to converting fractions to a decimal. So you can use this word problem as a reference, but you can be as creative as you'd like with coming up with the scenario you'd like to present. So just make sure that within your word problem, you're going to use proper mathematical terminology that we've gone over in class, such as fractions, quotient for division, decimals, and make sure you're providing the person answering your question with as much information possible to be able to answer your word problem. So once you're done creating the word problem, I'm going to want you guys to exchange your word problem with the person next to you. And you guys are going to take your classmates' word problem home tonight and complete it for homework. Make sure that the word problem is related to converting fractions to decimals, since it's what we've been discussing in class. Okay? Thank you.